Peninah was the architect of our own downfall. Peninah, because now you're forcing me to say this, Peninah was the source of division in Kitui.
My colleague was asking about the UDA and Kenya Kwanza in general, the politics. We saw all the people who are dropped because of broad-based, all those cabinet secretaries who are dropped after Raila joined government. They were all given jobs. What happened to your sister Peninah? She was just forgotten.
I can't say what happened to her. Because you see, the appointing authority is one who has the prerogative to reappoint or and not appoint.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is purely my personal. Let not anyone tie it to the president. But from where I stand, Peninah was the architect of our own downfall. From where I stand, she had an opportunity to unite Kitui and actually move the people. Because after elections, we had a population that was so eager to join government, to feel the impact of government projects. But Peninah forgot that she was there to create a link, as much as she was a CS to serve the rest of the country. But you see, she was there to create a link between the people of Kitui and the government. And I think she failed. It's purely a leadership issue. And probably maybe the appointing authority probably did not bring much value to me. Yeah, but those are my thoughts, and I stand by that. And I've told her on a personal level that she failed us.
Yeah, but then
I could have done better as CS.
Wakili, there are voices in Kitui County which say that there are a lot of divisions within the UDA team in Kitui, and this might have led to the sacking of Peninah Malonza. As some stories go, that some faction of the UDA team actually pushed for sacking.
No, Peninah, because now you're forcing me to say this. Peninah was the source of division in Kitui. Yeah. Even to date, if you go to our social forums, the people sowing divisions and fights are people that are related. The people that drive agenda, Peninah Malonza, are the ones that always bring in fights, always bring in confusions. She was the source of the division, and I told her that she was the source of division. She actually told me that I will never get appointed anywhere as long as she was CS, and I told her I'm comfortable practicing law. I don't want to say these things like
on a wider scale. On a wider scale, Wakili. We had the other day the same divisions between Chap on this side and UDA on this side. They are actually manifesting themselves in a very wide, in a very open way. What's the name of that? There's a by-election. Mumbuni by-election, ward by-election. We had Mutuse telling Kawaya that the Kawaya tagged some rusted wire somewhere. And Kawaya and by Nimrod saying Mutuse and Chap must recognize them as their Kawaya is the main castle.
You know, in the biblical story of Esau and his brother, what was his name of his brother? The one who took the other's birthright. It's purely sibling rivalry. Chap is trying to catch the attention of the president, and UDA, we are telling them the president belongs to us. The president is in UDA. He's not in chapter. So it's purely sibling rivalry. Nothing much. It was brought about by the by-election. But I can tell you, it doesn't go beyond that. Yeah. I would say that it's something that we need to worry about and maybe make it a topical issue. No, it's purely because Chap as their candidate, UDA as their candidate.
In Mumbuni.
In Mumbuni.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's purely sibling rivalry. And you see what Mutuse said in Mumbuni, he's never said it elsewhere. Yes. And we are doing these things like the empowerments together. Yeah. So it's purely kila mtu akivutia saidia kwake because there's an election to be won. You have to convince everyone that I'm the one who is closer to power than this other. It's purely it's politics. You go and you ask that question. You ask President that question. Tell you that reason is
we are also seeing that that rivalry manifesting itself even in this presidential trip. The person who is organizing the leaders meeting is Kawaya, not the chapter people.
Yeah.
Where are you checking the names of the people who attend the Saturday meeting? Who is the custodian of that list?
I wouldn't say who is the custodian of the list, but the thing is, the president made it clear that in Ukambani political formation, Kawaya is the team leader. Yes, in Ukambani, and did not say UDA. And that one was announced in Machakos, in a church service in Machakos at ABC, and I announced that. Yeah. So we have no problem with Maendeleo chapter because they have the CS. So hata sisi mambo ya serikali, we are looking at Mutuas, our team leader in terms of the government side, but in the political formation, the president made it clear that it's Kawaya.
Wakili, allow me to pick your mind on something the president has said. I think the last 1 week or so. The president says he wants to make Kenya the first world country. He wants to grow the economy and make the country first world country. Number one, is that something now given the economy of our country, and we all know the status of our economy, is that something which is doable?
Yes.
Number one. Number two, can President Ruto do it, and within what time frame? Because we know even if he gets another term, we'll have until 2020, until 2032. Can Kenya become a first world country by 2032?
Yes, it can become, not by 2032, but Kenya can become a first world country. Because now we are at the tail end of the Vision 2030. We are at the tail end. So what have we done? We've now commenced formulating Agenda 2063. It's an agenda set by the African Union. So Kenya has adopted Agenda 2063. So we are now transition. By the time we get to Agenda Vision 2030, we'll now be starting to gravitate towards Agenda 2063. So what President Ruto is doing is to entrench a policy that now will outlive successive governments. Just like what Kibaki did with Vision 2030. All what Uhuru implemented was Vision 2030. Part of what President Ruto is doing is Vision 2030. It's only that now it has fallen to a point whereby he is the president at the point where we have to shift gears from 2030 to the next, which is 2063. So what do? You entrench a policy formulation that now will outlive the successive government. Even if these characters come here, the one-time characters, even if they by miracle they form government in 2027, they will not do anything different from what Ruto is doing now. And I tell you why. Let me explain to you the three most unpopular decisions that the president has made, but which are the best. The affordable housing. I know it's very unpopular.
Very.
But if I explain to you the reasoning behind affordable housing, you will understand why the president is keen. And you see, affordable housing is not a creation of President Ruto. It was in the Big Four agenda that they formulated with Uhuru. And that's why, even in the Azimio manifesto, it was there. And the contribution was 1.5%, which is what Ruto is implementing. Actually, is implementing the Azimio. Now, the affordable housing concept is aimed at attaining two things. One, agricultural revolution. By moving people from rural setup to urban setup. It's borrowed from the American system. In America, they have moved people from villages, I mean, from rural areas to cities through affordable housing. That's that now those people can use their rural homes for agriculture. That one will boost food security. Secondly, the short term, now that's the long term gain. The short term of it is on keeping people busy. If you You have gone to Kitui. You've seen the number of young people that are working there. We have a certain population of young people that have been busy for the last a year or so, several years, almost a year now, or more than a year. So it creates an environment where there is people are waking up to go and do something. It creates those jobs. And then here, if you look at the constitution, what the constitution says about housing, it is there. It will be Article 43. Yes. Now the other thing on I'm still coming, still trying to set base for Singapore. The other thing is the healthcare. Yeah. People are saying share is not working. But if we were to be very honest with ourselves, you know, one or two people who have benefited from share from within your circles. I know for a fact that people that have been share is paying for their cancer and stuff. Of course, there was those challenges that it began. The third one is the saving culture through NSSF. When we met at Oltukai, President Ruto told us, in a normal civil servant, like let me take an example of a teacher, because my father and my mother are retired teachers. You work for 38 to 40 years, contributing 200 shillings. So that is 400 shillings, because 200 is from you, 200 from your employer. So on retirement, you'll get 80,000. After working for 30 years, your whole savings and NSSF is 84,000. So Ruto said, no, let's change this saving culture. One, because the loans that we borrow from China are not Chinese government money. We don't borrow from the Chinese government. We borrow from the Chinese pensioners, the savings by the Chinese. So President Ruto says, let us, our people save, so that when we are doing now, when we have to borrow for development, we borrow from within. From within. We borrow from our NSSF, our pensioners, and we pay them the interest. If you look at the Mau Summit fraud, those people that are funding it on the public partnership, one of them is NSSF. So we are trying to look at a situation whereby in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, we'll not be having Chinese to come and do an expressway through public participation, public-private partnership. We'll have people like NSSF doing that project, investing them, the private sector investing that, their own money. Look at gas yetu, this affordable gas that is that was launched. It is not the government giving out the gases. Government has partnered with private people, distributors, give them that mandate, distribute, but at a subsidy rate. So it's creating a policy that will. So if we curb public wastage, we think beyond today and think about tomorrow. We'll get to where Singapore is.
Okay. Now, coming back on the same line.
So, Wakili, the Ruto administration has been accused of being intolerant to criticism, even being harsh on activists and people who go out to demand for their rights. We have seen abductions, we have seen people disappearing, we have seen people being locked in places, and then after days they are released. We had a case of a young man from your area who was abducted and was released after, I think, 2 weeks. So what would be your comment about the accusation that the Ruto administration is intolerant to criticism, is violating human rights and such things?
One, I won't say that it is intolerant as such, because I think Ruto has tolerated a lot of things. I would have done things. About the abductions, if the government really wants to do away with you, to become maybe they think you're cryptic, blah blah. They want to do away with you, and they abduct you. What would be the essence of releasing you? So I don't think government is in the business of abducting people and releasing them. Maybe there was a clandestine operation that was ongoing, where probably you have to use some extrajudicial ways of extracting information. I don't know, but I don't believe government can abduct and release. If indeed government abducts,
we had the case of J.B. Muturi's son. And by that time, Muturi was the Attorney General, who is also a member of the National Security Council. It took the intervention of the president himself for the son
So
to be
that,
released.
that one now tells you something, that the abductions were not sanctioned from the presidency.
But they are happening under his watch.
And you see, abductions happen every day, every time, everywhere. We had the Rivayala bodies and stuff. At least now, one thing you know, we have not had people being abducted and their bodies being found.
Mukuru bodies being found in the Mukuru quarry.
Mukuru was a criminal thing. They even arrested the guy and he disappeared. Yeah, but
As a lawyer, have you ever gone to court to defend or to demand the production of a person who is missing?
When that young man from Mumoni was abducted, or when he disappeared, because I don't believe he was abducted, I personally reached out to the LSK president, Madam Faith Odiamba, and told her that that boy comes from my area, see what LSK can do to probably take it up so that we put pressure for the release. And it happened, they were released, but still to date, I'm not convinced that those abductions were sanctioned by the state. Because we live in a very funny, and these are my thoughts, we live in a very funny situation. We are in a very funny political setup where your opponent can do something to paint you bad. Because why did those abductions stop? Why? You want to say that we no longer have government critics?
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that those abductions were from an independent force that was trying to drive a narrative.
Not government.
Not government.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure and it was very nice hosting Wakili Charles Mwalimu, the UDA candidate for Mwingi North in 2022, and again, the UDA candidate for Mwingi North in 2027.
God willing.
Thank you, Wakili. And
Good
it was a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks.
Yeah. See you next time. I'm Kitavi Mutua.